Hi everyone, Roy here on my channel Roy Reads Anything, which is kind of about old books and stuff usually. I've been told these hands get enormous. I think it's a setting on the camera. I think there's a setting for if you're showing your products close to the lens, you can see them. So that's why you're getting these giant hands.
The enormify setting.
It is, yeah. Or maybe I've got giant hands. Anyway. Going to talk about my wasted weekend. So, Garb August is a reading event devised by Criminally, which is about reading trashy books for the month of August. And because some of us find it hard to wait between Augusts, Criminally, in his wisdom, has declared a halfway point where a weekend spent reading that kind of literature is also sanctioned or encouraged even. The wasted Garb August, wasted weekend. So there's been two full-blown Garb Augusts, and then this is the second halfway point, 2.5. However, I missed it because I was busy being not wasted. However, Criminally himself kindly said that the next weekend was declared the wasted weekend 2.5.1. So an extra little bibble just for me.
A bibble, dear.
It meant I didn't miss out on it. And I'll be honest, I was ready. I was ready for a time spent reading undemanding popular fiction that is not literature. Okay, so trashy, not in like bad. Who would want to read a bad book? They might be great, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I actually read one book per day, starting on Friday evening, because these are from the olden days when you could get paperbacks, 120, 150 pages long, that you could read in a couple of hours. You know, you can plug into them, enjoy them, move on with your life.
Halcyon days.
Well, absolutely. I mean, these days, 120 pages would be like the introduction. So, what did I read? I read, using the special setting of close-upness, an Avengers tie-in novel from the 1960s. So these Avengers,
yeah.
And it's called The Passing of Gloria Monday by John Garforth. So British TV Avengers, nothing to do with the superheroes. It was very loosely a spy show, but with a lot of British quirkiness and eccentricity. But it wasn't a send-up. You know, it's not quite as camp as, say, Adam West Batman. On the other hand, it's like there's lots of outlandish stuff, outlandish baddies. And the two principals, there's an agent called John Steed, who's the sort of common denominator through all the incarnations of the Avengers, who typically will have a female kind of co-worker, and in everybody's favourite period, it was Diana Rigg playing a character called Emma Peel, who's very much a female action hero, basically. So you got Steed in his bowler hat with his umbrella and his kind of worldly charm, and you've got usually Emma Peel doing the sort of heavy lifting in terms of getting into situations and battling her way out of them. Yes.
Can I just say, when I were a girl, Joanna Lumley Purdy, she was much more the thing than your Mrs. Peel nonsense.
Yeah, so that's when it came back in the 70s as the New Avengers. Bit of a reboot, but it was still the same.
Yeah.
It's still in the same continuity, and it's still the same dynamic. Except by then, I think Steve took a little bit of a backer seat.
Yeah.
So they brought in Gareth Hunt as Gambit to be the.
I'd
Anyway,
also like to say I did attempt a Purdy haircut.
oh well, who
Not
didn't?
myself. I went to the. Continue.
Okay, so clearly important popular culture stuff. Important enough to have tie-in novels, a whole series of these. So this one, it's just your average baddies going to take over the country using mind control, using subliminal messages in pop records. So the scenario is the pop scene of the 60s.
Oh my god.
Which can be terrible when some old hack tries to write about pop music. I mean, there's certainly some Sexton Blake stories with the pop world in them where it's like, come on, granddad, you've obviously like read like 2 headlines in the Daily Mail. With John Garforth seems to know what he's talking about. It's full of pop culture references. This is the era of Ready Steady Go on the television. And this idea that people could be made stars overnight and stuff like that. Mods and rockers battling it out. So as pirate radio is part of the plot as well. All sorts of crazy things, including Emma Peel becoming a pop singer as part of the infiltration of the evil organisation. And it's written in a sort of, I would say, probably in a hurry. John Garforth says he did lots of interesting novelizations. He wrote a novelization of The Pallisers, which is based on Anthony Trollope books. Yeah, it's re-novelized by a self-confessed hack. But yes, it's sometimes it's such a. I mean, I suppose he's aping the kind of knowing meta style of the series in print, and sometimes it reads like some crazy kind of stream of consciousness. I thought maybe it was some demented beatnik who'd written it, but which all adds to the fun. Yes, really enjoyed that. That was my Friday evening read. Certainly would read more Avengers books. Sorry about the giant hands. Saturday was given over to The Strange World of Art Colony Nurse.
Ant Colony Nurse.
It is definitely Art Colony, not Ant Colony, by Jane Converse, who wrote an awful lot of books with the word nurse in the title. I've read Surf Safari Nurse. I own Nurse Against the Town, but not all of these others. But yeah, the idea of an art colony fascinated me. Groz from the GKBC actually got me the book because they're hard to find, these signets. I mean, Signet obviously published a lot of cool stuff in the late 60s, including Gothics as well. If I could find The Demon Tower by Virginia Kaufman, or Witch's Hammer by unnamed author, I certainly would. But anyway, yeah, cheers, Groz, for getting me this. Art Colony Nurse. So these art colonies, they're in California. It's basically a hippie commune with some art and pottery going on. And having fairly recently watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's hard not to visualize it as being like the Manson family, but it isn't quite that bad. So the nurse, Eileen, she's just qualified with a degree, and she's visiting her parents for a break after graduating. And her mum's like, oh, why not you stay around here, get a nursing job in this area, which she's sceptical about. But she does. She gets a job with a young GP who seems to be, she's attracted to him, but he seems to be like the world's most stuffed of stuffed shirts, basically. So that's interesting. But then she also, for medical reasons, meets these art colony people who the doctor guy despises as layabouts, but she's like a lot more tolerant of them. And one of those seems really kind of fascinating and alluring. So she's sort of into that bohemian world as well. As it says here, a beautiful young nurse plays a handsome doctor against a hip bohemian in a dangerous game of broken hearts, which makes it sound kind of a bit transgressive and immoral, and that's just 60s pulp paperback bait and switch, because it's not like that at all. It's very wholesome. You could have given it to an 11-year-old to read. Even then, there is no love trap. But the stuff about the hippies and so on, again, it seems sort of pretty. It's not too cringy, and it does seem to be like the surf one, where the sort of surf lingo was quite amusing. The stuff you get in this is good, and the way it works out, brilliant. It's more than 120 pages, but it says here it's easy to see large type. So that one I raced through pretty quickly. I also took all the words from these titles and reassembled them into a piece of found poetry. Moving on, Sunday. What are Sundays for but Lynn Carter novels? So Lynn Carter, science fiction and fantasy author, editor of the Ballantine adult fantasy series. Seen with some justification as a sort of a pastiche kind of guy rather than a great original. And so this, the first adventure of Thongor of Lemuria, it is totally derivative, but also a lot of fun. So I'll read you the blurb. 500,000 years ago, on the lost continent of Lemuria, the first civilizations arose from the red murk of barbarism. For 1,000 years they had struggled to vanquish the cruel reptilian race of the Dragon Kings, and at last they had destroyed them, or driven them from the land. And despite primitive beasts and the terrors of a universe torn by magic, those first kingdoms of Lemuria were strong and lusty. But danger lurked in the inner sea, where the last of the Dragon Kings awaited their hour of vengeance. Now the stars were approaching the right configuration, the human realms were restless, and the night of destruction was at hand. Only the warrior, Thongor, barbarian from the north, and Sharadshah, whom men called the Wizard of Lemuria, could stand against the terrors of a bygone age. So, first of a series, what you've basically got is a hero who is extremely like Conan the Barbarian, who Lynn Carter also wrote pastiche stories of Conan. But the world, it's prehistoric to the point where you've got like dinosaurs. A lot of fun there. So you've got Conan style barbarian, sword and sorcery with dinosaurs. And it also has some sort of prehistoric super science. So there's like flying ships because of this lighter than air metal. So stuff that really feels like it comes from a Edgar Rice Burroughs type story in the mix as well. So it's like, let's put all these things together and have the most fun we can have in a short novel. Throw in a few other things. Oh, Michael Moorcock's just written about Chaos Lords. We'll have Chaos Lords as well. Terrific. Yeah, loads of stuff, very short, and lots of fun. Probably not the greatest fantasy writer in the world. I think if I was ranking the lesser barbarians, I would put Thongor. I would put Thongor above Brack the Barbarian, even though I think John Jakes is a bit of a better writer. Way above Gardner F. Fox's Kyrick and Kothar. And I would happily read, I'd happily read a Thongor novel. The only trouble is I can't stop thinking of the word Thongor being like in the song Convoy.
Oh God, no! No!
Thongor.
What have you done? My ears.
So that was that was my wasted weekend. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Ollie for giving me some injury time. Dr. Jennie says.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Your use of the word bibble. I like that very much. Bibble, which Mr. Roy has adopted, is a black country word that means a piece of stony matter anywhere between the size of a boulder and a fine grain of sand. That's your bibble right there.
Ah, well, we need
And
words for
we
that.
do need words for that. And yeah, you often get bibbles in your socks.
Well,
But you have to
tell
take
me
socks
about
off
it.
or shoes, and sometimes underwear, which isn't great. Yeah, so bibble.
Good.
Use it with my blessing, children.
Bibble.
That's it, bibble.
Bibble. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.